This is the tutorial for the zippered bag View B. The first step is to put the wrong sides together and baste the lining to the front and back sections. Normally we put right sides together when we sew. This is different. You put wrong sides together and just do a 1/4 inch stitch around each section to hold them together. The next step is to fold back a 1/2 inch, press under a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the unnotched edges. So you will fold back a 1/2 inch and iron it on the unnotched sections of the bag. Before folding the unnotched edge under a 1/2 inch for the zipper, zigzag finish the edges of the fabric. This is a basic nylon zipper, and I'm going to tell you what the parts of the zipper are called. The fabric part is called the zipper tape. This is called the zipper pull, and the mechanism that slides up and down is called the slider. This is a stopper here at the bottom, and there is a stopper up here at the top. And it gets its name because of the way it sounds. We're going to baste the zipper in place before stitching it on the machine. We're going to baste it by hand, so you'll unzip it. Now you have extra zipper tape here on each side. Make sure that you have that at the edge of the bag, because this will be your seam allowance. You can't sew over this part of the zipper. So lay the zipper face up, take your large piece that you folded under a 1/2 inch, line up the zipper tape. Make sure you don't have the stopper up here. You need to have the tape here because that will become your seam allowance. And then you want to pin through the fabric and the zipper tape so that the fold of the fabric is right next to the teeth. Yeah, those are called the teeth on the zipper. So go ahead and pin that all in place. Leave the zipper unzipped when you're pinning it in place. That way it's easier to line the teeth up with that folded edge. After you pin it in place, you can zip it back up, and you'll be hand basting this side of the zipper. And again, you'll make sure that you have that extra zipper tape on each side to sew into the seam allowance later. Use a regular hand sewing needle and double the thread to baste. You come up from the bottom, you're coming through all the layers of the folded back seam allowance and the zipper. You need to make your basting stitches no bigger than a 1/4 inch. If you make them too long, it won't be secure enough to hold the fabric in place while you're sewing the zipper on. So make sure that they are no more than 1/4 inch on the basting stitch. Notice when you place the zipper that the larger part of the bag is below, the slider is over here to the left, and the smaller part of the bag will be on top. When you line up, after you've basted one side, when you line up the other side, make sure that these edges are even and match. You'll need to remove your zipper foot off your machine by pressing that red button in the back. Take it, come and give it to me, and I'll give you the zipper foot. The zipper foot is different. It only has one toe instead of two, and the reason for that is so that it can be on either side of the zipper. If you have the regular zipper foot applying a zipper, you can't because it sits on top of the zipper teeth. This zipper foot has a bar on it that allows you to slide it back and forth in the ankle. I'll show you that in just a moment. The zipper foot has a bar across here. So you place it onto the ankle, you lower that down. Okay, so you have to be careful here and pay attention. If you leave it right in the center, when you start to sew, the needle is going to hit that and it's going to break a needle. You have to make sure it's pushed all the way over to the side so the needle can pass through. Depending on which side you're sliding it to, you have to make sure the needle can pass through. If you accidentally, when you're moving your fabric, it shifts over, or you don't get it all the way over, again, broken needle. So pay attention to that. When you're ready to sew the zipper, you'll want the foot on top of the zipper tape. Also, the outside edge of this foot is, you will line that up to the folded edge of the fabric, and that will give you the proper spacing between the zipper and the stitch. I'm going to sew this with pink thread to match the fabric on the inside of the bag. Back stitch. And again, I'm lining up the folded edge of the fabric with the edge of the presser foot. I'm starting with the zipper down, and when I get to a certain point, leave the needle down, and I'm going to slide the zipper out of the way. The reason I didn't start with the zipper all the way up is when you're sewing next to the zipper, it makes it like a little curve or a little lump. So I get the zipper out of the way to start, then I get it back up, and then I'm following the edge of the foot with the folded edge of the fabric. Now it's time to sew the other side of the zipper. When you finish sewing it in, you can go back and take the basting stitches out. So I'm on the other side now, so I'll need to slide that foot all the way over, move the thread over towards the back. I'm going to unzip to start, and again I'm lining up now with the outside edge of the presser foot with the fold of the fabric. Back stitch. And again, once you get down a little ways, leave the needle down, lift the presser foot, slide the zipper back to the top, and continue sewing. Back stitch when you get to the end. After sewing the zipper, remove the basting and return the zipper foot and put the regular foot back on the machine. Then you're going to apply your ribbon. Notice that it's going here on the bigger piece of the zippered bag. Place your ribbon right there where you stitched the zipper and sew that down. After you sew the ribbon, you're going to make the loop. If you're making a small loop, simply just sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance and turn it right side out. I'm making one that's long enough to go around my wrist, so I'm going to show you another technique. When you're making something that's not very wide, sometimes it's hard to turn it with the safety pin. So here's a technique to make a strap. First you fold the fabric in half to create a crease down the center. Then you unfold it. You fold one raw edge to that center line. You fold the other raw edge in to meet it. And then the last step is to fold it in half. And then you stitch down that edge. Oh, here it is. You can stitch it on two sides or one side to finish it. You place the sewn loop on the side of the bag that has the zipper stopper, the opposite end of the zipper. It's 1 1/4 inches down from here. Another way that, and it has to be in a precise spot so it comes out in the corner, another way you can figure out where to place it is to fold the bag so that you match up the notches and then stick a pin in the fold. Open that back up, and where you place that pin, you want to place the edge of the loop right where the fold is at, or maybe just a tiny bit below it. Step number 5 says to open the zipper with the right sides together, fold back along fold line and match notched edges. Stitch the notched edges, trim the corners. So open the zipper, match the notched edges, and stitch down 1/2 inch all the way around. The first time I made this, I thought, well, that's silly. This is flapping open. I think I'm just going to zip it closed, and it'll be easier for me to fold it because everything will be staying in place. And then after I was done sewing, it's time to turn the bag around. I couldn't do it, so that's why it has to be unzipped. So since it is unzipped, things are flopping around a little bit. So you want to make sure when you stitch this that you get those two stoppers right next to each other. It's very thick here when you sew the loop on because you have so many layers of fabric, so stitch slowly when you go over that. And then when you're ready to stitch the bag this way, just be careful you don't hit any metal part of the zipper and just take it easy over this thicker part. Use pins to make sure that you keep these zipper tabs close together. I had to use the hand wheel over this thick part where all the ribbon and the loop is and stitch a 1/2 inch around. Then to reinforce it, stitch again on top of the stitch that you just did. This is a fold up here at the top, so you're not trimming those corners. You want to trim the corner down here at the bottom. And after you do that, do a zigzag finish on these seams to keep them from unraveling. You don't have to press the seams open, just zigzag on top here. You can cut off the notches. I'm leaving mine on because it's a sewing sample. When you're finished, turn everything around and use the turning tool to poke out all the corners and make it look nice, and then take it to the ironing board and give it a little press.